Good morning, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Awaken Creators Podcast, episode 1. My name is Amanda Stone, and I am here for you in your creative journey, helping you remove your blocks, realign with your vision, and start changing your world with joy. Now, this podcast is not something that I ever began or intended to do when I first started Awaken Creators. I'll be quite honest, I had this idea for crystal pens, which I still might do, by the way, but Awaken Creators was really born out of this idea that if you were to look at it, you would think, how in the hell did you get from A to Z? And I guess that's a fitting topic for today's podcast, is this idea of creativity as being this linear process when it is absolutely anything but. And how do we reconcile that, right? How do we embrace that as we go on our journey? Well, before we begin, I would like to start by reading the Awaken Creators Invocation. If you do not have a copy of the Awaken Creators Invocation, you can absolutely snag one by going over to my Instagram page at awaken.creators and clicking on the link in the bio. You will be led to the Awaken Creators Invocation, which is a beautiful, beautiful invocation that you will say out loud before you start any creative session. And I absolutely love it. I've been using it without fail, and it has led me to a very peaceful and accepting and loving place with my creative sessions. So highly, highly recommend, not just because it's fine, but because it works, and I like things that work. So if you're interested, head on over and grab yourself a copy. It comes in both a black and a white version, so whichever you feel like that day, you can snag it. And let's go ahead and begin. So if you are ready to center yourself with one big, nice, deep breath in and out. Here we go. Inhale. Deep into the belly. And exhale. Letting it all go. And let's do 2 more just for good measure. Inhale in. And exhale. Really relaxing into this moment. And last one, inhale in and exhale. Let's start to read the Awaken Creators Invocation. Dearest God, Supreme Being of Light, the all that is, ever was, and ever will be, thank you for allowing me this sacred moment in space and time to express the gift of my creativity. I honor the creative expression within me and promise to bring it forth with love, to nurture it and protect it as my unique creation. Today, I allow the creative process to unfold in whatever way is divinely intended, and I surrender control in favor of divine grace and joy. I embrace the joy of this experience as my birthright, and I love myself for allowing my heart to play today. Thank you for guiding my podcast today. May every moment be a living expression of my unconditional love and acceptance of self in all my imperfect glory. I humbly thank you for the opportunity to breathe new life into this world and to stand in my power as an awakened creator, now and forevermore. I love you, and so it is. All right, so let's begin our conversation today. I mentioned this kind of myth, really, that I think more so when you start out creating, you have this idea that, you're gonna go from A to Z. I'll just be honest, I did when I first started really taking my writing seriously and finally believed that this was something I could actually get away with doing without looking silly, and that there were people who were trying to do this and being successful at it. Obviously, there were books on the shelves and in the library. Somebody wrote them. When I first started, I remember distinctly writing down in my journal that I would be published by such and such date, and I think I had given myself a year to get it accomplished, which makes me laugh now. But if any of you out there listening are writers, then you know how silly, absolutely silly that is. Well, my idea of creative success or creative progress really was this idea that you sit down, you create this thing. You maybe tweak it a little bit. I wasn't so naive to think I didn't have to revise or anything, but you tweak it a little bit until it sounds nice, until your mom and dad tell you that it's great and beautiful, honey, and you're perfect. And then you go out and you query it, and agents fawn over you, and you take the highest bidder. Unfortunately, that's not how it works, which isn't to say that you couldn't have instant success with your debut. I absolutely, positively believe, and believe you should believe, that anything is possible with your creations. Yes, you could be the next Picasso. You just have to keep going. You can't get there hiding in your mom's basement, or, shoving your stories or your canvases under your bed so no one can see them. We all know that, no one's going to knock on your door and say, hey, I heard there's a secret artist or writer here and they could be the next great thing. Could they come out and talk to me for a minute? I have $100,000 I'd like to give them. It would be nice if we lived in a world like that, but unfortunately, or really fortunately, we don't. And I say fortunately because I think that the whole concept behind this winding road that is the creative journey is winding purposefully so that you can morph and transform into this magnificent being who really has learned all those lessons. When I was shortly after my spiritual awakening, heart awakening, creative awakening, whatever you want to call it, I obviously started getting really into this whole idea of attraction and manifesting and researching about that and how do you do it. And, I remember listening to this guy's little video about manifesting a lottery win. Of course, everybody wants money. If you had that money, you could do this, that, and whatever. So I was listening to his strategies on that, and it dawned on me. I can't remember if he actually said it or if it was just one of those things you hear between the lines that you go, oh yeah, huh. But it was something about, not believing that it was actually possible. But what it really was that not truly believing in my heart of hearts that that's how I wanted it to go down. Yes, winning the lottery is possible. Yes, hitting it big at a jackpot, you could do that. And some people, I believe, have manifested that purposefully. However, I knew in my heart of hearts that wasn't my story. That wasn't how my story went. I wasn't the girl who was down on her luck and then, manifested a lottery win and went off to be a millionaire in some mansion somewhere. That wasn't my story. And once I accepted that that wasn't my story, I could let that idea go and start to really more so accept this weird road that I had chosen to travel on. And I'm so grateful now for it. I guess that would be part of one of the things we should discuss, is that your gratitude for the right winding road, excuse me, really only comes in retrospect. It's very difficult, it's very difficult to feel that sense of gratitude when you're in the shit. Like when your manuscript's being rejected, or when your work's being criticized, or when no one's liking, your stuff on Instagram, or, you set up an Etsy shop and no one's buying your stuff. Like, it's hard to have gratitude in those moments. And I think that the point is you're kind of not supposed to. You're kind of supposed to really just feel like a human in those moments and really get into these human emotions of like rejection and pain and stuff. And the point of it all really is, in retrospect, looking back, you realize that the point of all of that was, though, that when you did have success, and you will have success, when you do have success, you are going to look back at those moments and you are going to be so freaking proud of yourself. You are going to realize that you kept going even after and in spite of all those perceived failures, you kept going. And that feeling of pain that you have, I think, is like opposite and equal to the amount of supreme joy and pride and love you will feel for yourself when you do hit the jackpot, so to speak. So I think it's important for all of us, and I'll share with you a little visual that I like to use. It's important for all of us to remember that this winding road is winding not to aggravate us, not to make us give up, but to make us push harder, to make us understand our worth, to make us understand how awesome we truly are and that we can accomplish anything. If you think about any hero movie or underdog style kind of story, there is no story if they just go from A to Z in a perfect straight line and everything works out for them all the time. Any kind of literature, and I'm speaking directly to writers here, you know that. You were told that. Your character has to have flaws. They have to have problems. They have to face obstacles, or there is no story. Nobody wants to read about somebody whose life is perfect because their lives aren't perfect. And what would be the point of listening to someone brag about how perfect their life was and nothing wrong ever happened to them? People can't relate to those ideas because that's not how human existence works. So once you really have the opportunity to accept that truth and to realize that the universe is not torturing you, is not trying to make your life miserable, but is trying to compress you into the diamond that you truly are, once you recognize that as truth, that's when your ride really begins. That's when you free yourself from the shackles and you start to fly. And that brings me to my visual that I was gifted by Spirit, and I'm so thankful for it. Just recently, actually, I think like a week ago. And you'll probably laugh, but it was the magic carpet from Aladdin. And the way that I visualized this is I was thinking about this journey that I've been on, and this crazy, like, whoa, I've been twisting and turning, and how there's always underneath it this supreme trust, this absolute and total trust that you are held, you are protected, you are being guided, you are being loved by your ancestors, by your angels, by your spirit guides, by your higher self. All of these things are underneath you, supporting you. The wind beneath your wings, as Bette Midler would sing. These forces are ensuring your survival, your success. Like, that part is on lock. So what's the part that you're responsible for as you're sitting on this magic carpet and it's flying you through these caverns? What is your responsibility? Well, I realize with this visual, your responsibility is to release control. Your responsibility is to accept in your heart of hearts that supreme trust and ride the carpet and really understand that you will not be allowed to fall. You will not be killed. You will be taken to your destination in the manner that is not only the quickest, the manner that makes the most sense to all the components of your life, but the one that is in the best interest of everyone around you and yourself included. If you can get to a point of accepting that you are on this magic carpet and it will not let you fall, and you will get to your destination if you just trust that all these loop-de-loops have purpose, you free yourself to enjoy the ride. You free yourself to kick back on that carpet and freaking relax for once in your life and not try to control and not grip it so hard and not scream at God and say, you're taking me the wrong way. This isn't how we're supposed to go. But actually to remember, oh yeah, they got me. I got me. Like, there is nothing I need to worry about. So holy shit, what do I do with myself? What do I do sitting on this carpet as it goes through these loops, knowing with certainty that I have an invisible safety belt on and I can't be dropped? You start to have fun. You start to relax. Heck, maybe even you pull a pack of cards out of your back pocket and start playing. Like, you know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of what I really wanted to talk about today, was this idea and concept of letting go. And that you understand that the journey is bringing you full circle. Whether you can see it now or not, you'll understand it in retrospect. But your job is really to surrender to the magic carpet ride and allow Spirit to guide your creative journey exactly and precisely where it needs to go. So with that, I am going to pull from the tarot. I'm going to get us a card. I'm going to see what comes through here. If those of you who aren't big on the tarot, I actually highly recommend it as a creative tool. I use it in my writing. I pull tarot cards from my characters. I use it to kind of focus my energy. This is great. And also just for a quick lesson. It's like they're pictures, right? You can interpret them however you need to, and your higher self absolutely will. Okay, so the card that came out for us today on this first episode of the Awaken Creators podcast, I'm so excited about this, is the 8 of Pentacles. Now this card has been haunting me for weeks, so this is really funny that it came out. But I absolutely, positively, immediately see the significance of this card. If you don't know what the 8 of Pentacles looks like, just do a quick Google search for 8 of Pentacles. You'll see I'm using the traditional Rider-Waite deck, so you can see exactly what I am seeing. There's a man sitting on a bench, a craftsman, a creative individual who is crafting these beautiful golden discs with pentacles on them. Now, he has some that he's already created, but he's not focused on what he's produced. He's focused exactly on the one right in front of him. This is about being present with our creative work. This is about being in that precious flow, that beautiful moment where it's you and your creation and spirit. And you are just receiving the little nudges on your brush as you paint, or you're receiving the little twinkles of what word is the perfect word to use next, and you're just channeling it and you're just letting it come through. Now, another thing I think about when I see this 8 of Pentacles card, the key word for me with this card is devotion. And if you've been an Instagram follower of mine for a little while, you've seen me talk about devotion a lot lately. And that's because I believe and understand finally that devotion is different from discipline. I was trying to discipline myself into being a good writer. I was trying to force myself to do things I didn't want to do or to be a certain way that I didn't want to be. When I finally switched to using the word devotion and really understanding that devotion is when you add in discipline to love, you add in that love component is the key component, the one that gets you up in the morning to do your work, the one that keeps you going late into the night on your project. That devotion, and I'm not talking about self-sacrifice, so if you're still stuck in that where you think you have to slave away until you are so exhausted you burn out, that is not devotion, because there's no love there. There's no love for yourself enough to say, you're tired, honey, take a break. See, when you add love to your creative expression, when you add love to yourself for taking the time and the energy to really focus on what's in front of you, and you appreciate yourself for that, you can accomplish anything, and you will. And you can let go of self-worth issues. You can let go of feeling like you're no good. You focus on that one pentacle right in front of you, and before you know it, the next time you look up, you finish that novel, or you finish that piece, and you are ready for the next phase. Which, need I remind you, the next cards after that, the 9 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles, go ahead and look them up, because they are all about worldly success, self-made success, and building a legacy upon which you can be proud. So, with that, I got a little bit of chills at the end there. With that, I wish you the most creative, most amazing, most joyful, most beautiful day, week, and every moment. And I thank you so much, so much for being a part of this Awakened Creators family. You are beautiful. You are loved. I love you. Namaste. And thank you so much for listening.